I'm not being an individual on my own, so please do film this. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife and today I am filming a tag all about one of my favourite TV shows from the last couple of years. Derry Girls. I finished a rewatch about a week or so ago and I had a look around to see if there was something like a Derry Girls book tag or a Derry Girls book tag for bloggers or booktubers, and I hadn't seen any. So I thought, why not take the initiative upon yourself and make one yourself? I can't tell if that makes me more Jenny Joyce or if that makes me more Erin, but I'm gonna go with it. I have put together a couple of prompts based on the characters of the show, and I would love to see your responses if you take this tag, so please do tag me in them. I've left all of my social media in the description below, and I'm also going to leave all of the prompts for you there. The first prompt is Erin.
Teenagers have rights now, you know. Don't be ridiculous. They do, ma. It's true. Sure, Macaulay Culkin might be divorcing his parents.
For this, you have to list a book that took you a little while to warm to, because I feel like Erin is the kind of character that takes a little bit of getting used to, and you need a while to kind of get to terms with the energy that she puts out. For this prompt, I have gone with Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I did end up giving this 4 stars, but I will admit, the first 50 or so pages alone would have gotten a 3 or a 2. It just took me a little while to kind of get to terms with the book, and I needed a little while to kind of get to use with the story, but once everything fell into place for me, it was a phenomenal read, and I am really, really glad that I pushed through with it. The next prompt is Michelle.
Motherfuckers! Motherfucker, it's my new thing.
This is where you list your favourite strong female character. Somebody who you really admire, that you really looked up to, and who has basically a lot of balls. For this one, I have gone with the OG strong female character, Jo March from Little Women. I feel like Jo March is the kind of person that I want to be when I grow up. She is completely unapologetic about who she is. She loves reading, she loves writing, she wants to be a writer, she wants to kind of do aside with all of the traditional women's roles that would be seen to be something that she has to do because of societal pressure on herself. And she just goes and does her own thing no matter what people think about her. The next prompt is Clare.
I'm the wee lesbian.
We're going to talk about an LGBT romance, and there are extra points here if you talk about a female-female romance. So for this one, I have gone with the Falling in Love montage by Kira Smith. I read this in maybe October or so of last year, and I feel like that was the perfect time to read it because it's kind of got some spooky vibes in it, in that our main character, Saoirse, absolutely loves horror movies and gore and all that kind of thing. Seeing her relationship with Ruby Blossom and watching the two of them get a lot closer together was so wonderful to see. I absolutely adored this book. I know that Kira's second book is coming out this year and I genuinely cannot wait to read it. The next prompt is Orla.
Orla, that better not be what I think it is. You better not have brought my diary to school.
I had to. I'm doing my book report on it.
Here we're going to talk about a character who's kind of got their head in the clouds, and I feel like the perfect person that fits in here is Georgia Nichols. She absolutely just kind of makes her way through the world, and just things happen around her, but she never really seems to be taking too much concern about what's happening. And I feel like her little ways of describing everything, like calling her parents Muti and Fatty, and describing her school as Stalag 14, I feel like Georgia is just that kind of head in the clouds type character. The next prompt is for James.
And she also fancies James. You don't find that a bit weird?
That is a bit fucked up in fairness. I can't get my head around it.
And we're going to talk about a translated work. So here I am going to discuss Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. I read this maybe April or May of last year. I actually gave my copy on to somebody else, but I would definitely go back and reread this one in a heartbeat. So this is translated from Japanese, and it is about a cafe in Tokyo where people can go back in time and visit other people who have been to the cafe, but there are a couple of stipulations. You can only visit somebody who has already been to the cafe, and you can't stay any longer than your coffee cup gets cold. So if the coffee cup gets cold and you haven't come back yet, there are a couple of pretty big responsibilities. So if your coffee gets cold but you haven't come back yet, there are a couple of pretty heavy repercussions. So if your coffee gets cold but you haven't come back from the past yet, there are a couple of pretty heavy repercussions. I loved reading this story, and I know that there's a second book out so far that I have been dying to read since I found out about it. The next prompt is probably one of my favourite characters. It is Sister Michael.
Now, I know how daunting reset examinations can be. So if anyone is feeling anxious or worried, or even if you just want to chat, please do not come crying to me.
For this one, we're going to talk about books that you read in school. And here I'm going to discuss the 3 books that I did for my Leaving Cert, which is our version of like the A-levels or your SATs, your final secondary school exams. We did Lies of Silence, which feels very kind of appropriate for this one because it's set in Belfast around the time of the Troubles, and it focuses on a hotel worker who is kind of blackmailed by the IRA into bringing a bomb to the hotel where he works. I also studied Dancing at Lunasa by Brian Friel, which is about 5 sisters who live in Donegal and have a very meagre lifestyle, and it tells a tale of what happens when their brother came back from Uganda, having been there as a missionary for quite a few years. The final book that I studied for my Leaving Cert was Hamlet. This was the second Shakespearean play that I had done throughout my school years. It's the last one that I've actually read so far, but I think of the 2 Shakespearean plays that I did in school, the second one was The Merchant of Venice. I much preferred Hamlet. I just lived for all the drama, and I think I really recognised myself in Hamlet, who cannot make a decision to save his life or anyone else's. The next prompt is Grandpa Joe.
I don't see why that useless drip you call a husband has to get coming.
Because someone needs to drive and you've been suspended again. What did you do this time, Daddy?
Nothing. Sorry you see discrimination. The only crime I committed was to be born a Catholic.
Jerry's never been suspended and he's a Catholic.
Where you are going to talk about a character who is a bit of a grump but that you can't help loving. And for this one, I have gone with Uwe from A Man Called Uwe by Friedrich Bachmann. I read this one again as a translated work. The original is in Swedish. And I found Uwe really lovable and really charming, even though he comes across on the page as quite a very grumpy character and somebody who sees the world as a very pessimistic view rather than somebody who kind of goes out and sees the positives in everything. I really loved that, especially when you have that contrasted with the family who has moved into the house across from his, and you see them so young and vibrant and full of life, and they have a child as well. And then you have this old man figure who's very grumpy and very kind of looks down on everything in the world. The next prompt is Mary and Da Gerry.
What next? Oh, get you trying on my knickers?
Don't say knickers in front of your father. He can't cope.
I can't cope.
We're going to talk about our favourite bookish parents. This can be single parents, this can be guardian figures, this can be 2 parents who are co-parenting together. But for me, I am going to go with Lorraine, Connell's mum from Normal People by Sally Rooney. I absolutely loved this portrayal of single motherhood in Ireland, but also Lorraine is one of my favourite characters in the book because she just tells it like it is. I loved how she was so not heavy on Connell, but kind of told him what he needed to be told without being an asshole about it when he refused to take Marianne to the Debs, purely because of how it would have looked for him. I felt like the way that she dealt with this was so perfect, and also I feel like it was done really well in the series. The next prompt is Jenny Joyce.
Bonjour, tout le monde. Comment allez-vous?
Wise up, Jenny.
And we're going to talk here about our favourite bookish, bookworms, clever clogs, the kind of top of the class people that you would expect to see. And for this one, I'm going to go with probably the OG bookish clever clogs. Matilda Wormwood. There was nobody else who came to my mind when I was thinking about this prompt. I just think that Matilda is like the perfect clever clogs in that she's not boastful about it. She just knows that she can calculate massive numbers in her head. She is the biggest bookworm I think I've ever seen in a book. The next prompt is Aunt Sarah.
Not psychic, Aunt Sarah. I am psychic, Erin. I did a course. I got a certificate.
Aunt Sarah is kind of obsessed with her looks, so for this one we're going to talk about a book that has such a beautiful cover. From the books that are on my shelves, I am going to go with The Loneliest Girl in the Universe by Lauren James. I think the cover is just so striking, and that's not even the best thing about this book. I really enjoyed this one, despite it being like a sci-fi fantasy type of thing, which isn't generally the genre I go for. But there was a little bit of a romance tied into it as well, and there was a little bit of mystery tied in. And I think all of those tied in together was what made the book so good for me. but I can't not also give snaps to the cover. I mean, look at it. The next prompt is Uncle Colin.
And I says to myself, says I, Colm, this is no day for a do. And as it turns out...
Can I just stop you there, Colin?
Surely, Mary, go ahead.
Oh no, nothing to say. I just really need you to stop talking.
And Uncle Colin could genuinely talk for Ireland. He does not give you a second to get a word in either way. So for this one, we're going to talk about a book that you just cannot shut up about. And for this one, for me, there was no other option. I have talked about the I Heart series by Lindsay Kelk countless times. I don't even want to think about how many videos I've put that series into, but it is one of my absolute favourite contemporary romance series. This one follows Angela, who catches her boyfriend cheating on her when they're at a mutual friend's wedding, and she just completely upends her life, moves to New York, finds new friends, finds a new career, finds love while she's there, and just kind of sets up her life anew. It's something that I admire her for so much, and something that I want to emulate in my having moved country. Not specifically for the same reasons. And the final prompt is Friends Across the Barricades. And here I want you to tag 3 bookish friends anywhere in the book community who also love Derry Girls. It could be a book blogger, a book Twitter user, a booktuber, somebody who has a book Instagram. However they talk about books, I want you to tag them and have them spread the word about how much we love Derry Girls. So for me, I am going to tag Shannon from 155 Books, Mo from Paperback Mo, and Carys from Carys' Corner. I will say, however, I had so many people get in touch with me when I kind of hinted about this on Twitter, that if you got in touch with me, you are also tagged. I would love to see what you do with this tag, so please, as I said, do share your links with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.